I'm Mrs. Painter. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to make cranberry orange breads or muffins, whatever you want to make. And we're taking this from a recipe from Sally's Baking Addiction. And I will include a link to her recipe, but I'm also going to put in how I'm making it because I'm making it slightly different. So there'll be a link to Sally's recipe and then mine typed into the description. Let's get started. So we have a half cup of white sugar. We have a quarter cup of brown sugar. And we have a stick of butter, or a half cup. Let's go ahead and get this butter creamed into the sugar. Let's go ahead and preheat our oven to 425. Now we'll add our eggs. Two eggs. And let's give our bowl a little scrape too while we're at it. All right, let's go ahead and add our tomato sauce. You could use tomato sauce, you can use tomato soup, but I find that adding tomato flavor into this really makes it work. I use a half cup. Let's add in our orange zest. This is the zest from 2 oranges. Meg, it's okay. And next we're going to add 2 tablespoons of orange juice. I went ahead and juiced those oranges after I zested them. And it's okay to keep the pulp in there, just make sure you don't have any seeds. And now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of milk. And I happen to be using cashew milk, but Sally says you can use whatever kind of milk you want. Meg is extra barky today. And we are going to need 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Let's give this a little scrape. And let's set this aside and let's go ahead and combine our dry ingredients. So we have 1 3/4 cups of flour. We need a teaspoon of baking powder. We need a teaspoon of baking soda, and I like Bob's Red Mill baking soda. Next, we're going to add a half teaspoon of cinnamon, and I just keep mine in this really handy shaker. And we need a half teaspoon of salt. Let's add our dry ingredients into our wet ingredients. Now you could add walnuts to this if you'd like. I'm not going to this time, but I think walnuts would be a pretty good addition. We're definitely going to add some cranberries here. We have 1.5 cups of partially frozen cranberries. Save those extra cranberries from Thanksgiving because they're fabulous in this bread. Let's go ahead and switch methods here and mix by hand. This is nice and thick. It's much thicker than the pumpkin bread recipe. Let's go ahead and get some of this in our pan now. I have greased and floured these little baking containers. I have a silicone muffin pan here that I really, really like. And then also this is a coated little bread making pan. Let's try to make sure we get some cranberries in each one of these cups. Fresh orange juice along with the grated orange zest really make these super delicious. All right, let's go ahead and put these in the oven. We're going to let these bake at 425 for 5 minutes, and then we're going to adjust the temperature down. Timer's going off. Let's go ahead and adjust our heat to 350. And set our timer for 25 minutes. And while this bakes, we're going to go ahead and start our glaze. This is a really simple glaze, but it's super good. We're going to have 2 cups of confectioner sugar, and 4 tablespoons of orange juice from our squeezed orange juice. Now I'm actually making a double batch. I think I'm going to add just a little more orange juice to this. I will also include the recipe for the pumpkin bread in the description of this video in case any of y'all want to try making the pumpkin bread too. There we go. I like this consistency better. So basically that's 5 tablespoons of orange juice to 2 cups of confectioner sugar. And that is nice and smooth. Our timer's going off. Let's go ahead and pull those muffins, breads out of the oven. I love the way the cranberries look. Now we're going to want to let those cool for just a couple of minutes. But while we're letting those cool, I have some pumpkin bread I wanted to glaze as well. So let's go ahead and do that. And you can see I'm going to use the same technique on the cranberry bread. I'm just going to take these and I'm going to dip them and kind of let the glaze roll down them. And this part gets a little messy, so you just have to be ready to get your fingers messy, but it's totally worth it because this glaze is so great on all of these breads. Pumpkin bread, cranberry bread. This would probably really even be good on zucchini bread. There we go. Let's just swirl that around in there. That's much faster. This is a very fast way to add a very light glaze as opposed to a frosting. And it's also a quick way to make a glaze as opposed to a frosting. And I don't think you really need to let this bread cool before you glaze it. In fact, the glaze may even set up better if the bread's a little bit warm. So let's see if we can get some of this bread out of the pans now. Let's see how hot this is. This cools off pretty quickly. And the top of the stove is actually remarkably cool. And I just like to take this spatula and just kind of go along the edge, and that helps to loosen it. More than likely it would just plop out on its own. Feels like that's what it's going to do. But again, when you go to the trouble to make something like this, you want to do your best to make sure you don't break your bread. There we go. This should come out even easier, seeing that it is silicone. You kind of stretch it a little bit, helps loosen it from the sides. Great thing about silicone. And we might even be able to just flip this over. Let's try it. Hey, that was awesome. Let's go ahead and put a little more of our glaze on our cranberry orange bread. I think we should try some of it. What do you think? Let's go ahead and give this a try. I'm not much of a sweets person. This is really good. Thanks for watching.